Please support FloodNerd. Thank you. This time I have something totally different to show you, my dear nerds. As you might observe in the background, I have a metric ton of boxes. It opens a whole new can of worms on how we can emulate games in a, dare I say, way more comfortable manner. You see, we all know that we can emulate retro games on retro handhelds, which can either be cheap Linux handhelds or phones that cosplay as handhelds like in the shape of PSP, or if you're lucky, in the shape of a clamshell. But we always could emulate things on phones, tablets, everything with Android and everything with Windows. And this is kind of where this video is at. We're gonna talk about a $200 something solution, somewhere around $250, which can give you a whole lot of emulation potential while at the same time enable you to do, well, Windows gaming. And it's sort of a weird solution because with these boxes that I'm about to show, you probably get a little less performance than you might otherwise hope, but you get a ton of scalability and a ton of freedom. And most importantly, for the lack of a better word, it's not smart person proof, meaning that it's already pre-configured. So anyway, let's go to the boxes. You see, my dear nerds, what I have for you here is a mini PC. And I wouldn't call this a console either. It's more of a bundle of sorts that enables you to emulate a lot of games while at the same time being able to play Windows games as well. It's sort of like a shawarma with everything on it, if I'm to be honest, but a pre-configured shawarma in a good way. You see, what you're actually getting here is a KINHANK Mini PC with an Intel N100 CPU, which everyone knows that it's not the fastest around, but it's immensely power efficient, meaning that it consumes roughly 5 watts, which, come on, it's nothing. And because of that low power consumption, I'm actually kind of excited of the use cases that this thing brings. But before I continue, I just want to say that this mini PC and basically all of this stuff here that comes as a bundle was sent to me by KINHANK themselves. Or is it KINHANK? I think it's KINHANK. I'm going with KINHANK. If I'm mispronouncing this name, mea culpa. But as always, my dear nerds, you need to know that no money exchanged hands, nobody saw this video beforehand, nobody had editorial input of any kind, and all words here are my own. If this thing would not be nice, I would be the first one to tell you. If this thing would be nice, I again would be the first one to tell you. So let's go back to our little unboxing here. And when it comes to the presentation, I have to say, I'm actually quite impressed. I've definitely seen worse. You know, black foam is something that always makes me think of high quality products, even though, well, the high quality part is a bit kind of debatable. You'll hear more about this later on in the video, so make sure you watch the whole thing. And wait, this is actually a bit dirty because, like all YouTubers, what I'm actually showing you here is a fake unboxing, not a real one. So imagine that when you take this out of the box, it's glossy and beautiful and without fingerprints and without scratches and without anything of the sort. This little bad boy comes, like I said, with the Intel N100 CPU, has 16 gigs of RAM, and has 512 gigs of storage in the form of an SSD. But you might have seen that I have a hard drive here. All of this is included in the roughly $250 price that this goes at. But as it is, this comes with a full Windows 11 install, Windows 11 Professional nonetheless, and I actually checked. If you're curious or paranoid with mini PCs, I did the full scan with Windows Defender, it showed absolutely nothing, and then I also did a scan, an offline scan of Windows Defender, the one that's way more precise, where it restarts the PC, doesn't boot Windows, and it didn't find anything at all. You know, you probably heard a lot of mini PCs come with spyware or malware, and because I personally am kind of a security nut, this was very important for me to check. So anyway, clean install of Windows, but I'm gonna get back to this mini PC. Let's see what other things we have in the box. An HDMI cable, a tiny plaque so that you can put it in the back of your monitor, a user manual, a charging brick, which personally I did not like, but I'm gonna come back to this later down in the video. Unfortunately, we have a barrel jack, there's no USB-C charging here. One of these universal adapters, which you can use technically in absolutely any part of the world. I'm not a big fan of this because it's incredibly bulky, but hey, if you're a traveler, this has a dual use. Has... how the heck do I do this? Yeah, this is, if I'm not mistaken, the American plug, European plug right here, another one. I need to learn my international plugs, people. Anyway, you get the idea. A 500 gig hard drive with Batocera on it, which is full of retro games. This spans from PS2, even has some PS3 games, I think one PS3 game, but I wouldn't trust that. PS3 is way too much, objectively speaking, for this tiny PC. What you're getting essentially is two different worlds. You get Windows 11 on an SSD no less, which would allow you to play games up to 2007, I guess, but when I say 2007, get your mind out of the gutter. I don't mean Crysis, I mean at best BioShock on medium settings, but you can play every game from the PS2 era, or 2005, 2006, and more importantly, you can install Sunshine on this so you can access it remotely. So this tiny little guy can essentially become a retro PC game streaming server. I find this idea absolutely exhilarating. But if you don't want to do that, or if you really want to play retro stuff, they pre-packaged or pre-bundled this hard drive as well, which you can boot to it by pressing F7 when this thing boots, and then you get to choose the hard drive with Batocera on it. And it boots into Batocera. You have a poop ton of games here, from GameCube, PS2, again PS3, but I wouldn't count that, one Switch game. But this shines at the things that I would deem actually retro, from PlayStation 2 downwards. Essentially what we can emulate on Android, I would say this can do a very good job. On Android, I mean without Switch, you know, PS2 and below. So basically, you have a dual setup here. You can either use this for retro PC games, or you can use it as a retro console, which gives you access to all the games that you might feel nostalgic over. They also pre-bundled this GameSir controller. I'm a bit lukewarm on, to be honest. Actually, let me do some YouTube magic. And there it is. You know, this supports Bluetooth as well, but it also comes with a stick. So if you just plug the stick into this thing, the hard drive with Batocera works out of the box with this. This controller isn't the best that GameSir made, but I would say it's serviceable. It has analog sticks, which is always good. The D-pad, well, I'm not a fan of button D-pads at all, but ironically enough, I will say this. Because it's a button D-pad, it might not be, and by might, I mean it definitely isn't as comfortable under the thumb as normal D-pads, but it passes the Contra test. Because you know when you do diagonals, for diagonals you have to press two buttons. So by sheer sensory feedback, you can hit the diagonals almost 100% of the time. So, you know, good and bad, I would say, depending on how strict you are with your D-pads. But overall, I would say that it's a welcome addition. It's good that this is pre-bundled. So, for the price that, wait for it, that KINHANK is asking, you basically get this bundle. A controller, a PC, and a hard drive. So, is it worth it? You might be asking yourself this, and for good reason, because $250 for an Intel N100 SoC is not really a good deal. I would say you can get these boxes for around $100 something, but you're not paying for the processor itself. You're actually paying for convenience. You see, this, even though it appears like a fragmented bundle, this is actually made to work together. You plug these in, you can even never connect this to the internet, and bam, you have a living room console to enjoy with, I know, your kids, your friends, the fellow humans that you have around you. Or you can be a loner like me, which pretend to have friends, and you can make this a retro gaming server. You can play things like the original Flatout, which is actually quite nice, Painkiller, if you remember Painkiller the game, my beloved Legacy of Kain series, works like a charm on this. You can play a lot of things actually, think Broken Sword, think Siberia, think all of the old games that you can imagine. You can even play more modern games like, they did a rebrand of the name. What's the name? This game right here, I can't remember it off the tip of my tongue. Something with B. Freaking neuron nets, you know, how do they work? I remember it in the back of my brain, I just... Backside... no, it's not Backside. Anyway, this game. And basically, in terms of retro stuff, because we're a retro community, these kinds of super cheap, not really as performant as we would want mini PCs, they fill our use case pretty perfectly, I would say. But again, this is, in my experience, a decent mini PC, but has some shortcomings as well, which your Vlad nerd has to point out. You see, this by itself is very silent. You can't really hear it, it's silent as all heck. And because it's silent as all heck, that makes it perfect for a 24/7 kind of PC. You know, again, retro game streaming server with sunshine. I really think that's an amazing use case for stuff like this. However, and I hate that I have to say this, while this PC fills that role nicely, I personally had very bad luck with the power brick. It works, don't get me wrong, but it has a very annoying coil whine sound. Not really loud, but definitely louder than this silent mother flipper right here. Which, you know, it depends up to you, how much does that bother you. I personally am a bit bothered by this. I think I'm gonna replace the power brick with something that I have. I have something of similar voltage around the house, so it wouldn't be a problem. Anyway, what else should I tell you in terms of I/O? There's a power button here, 3 USB-Cs, 3.0, which is nice, 2 LAN ports, which, you know, you can never have enough of these, the power barrel thingy, the audio jack, and 3 HDMI ports if you really want to go bonkers with 3 monitors on this CPU. So yeah, in a way, my dear nerds, this is the perfect lazy setup if people just want to do this, and then this, and then this, and just have a living room retro gaming console. Then that's pretty amazing. For that, it serves its role. The real question though, is it worth it? Well, in my personal opinion, you see, the PC itself, you can find something like this for a smaller price, but you will have to spend a lot of time configuring it. Making a Batocera hard drive like this takes a lot of time. You know, this would take me a few days, at least, to make, pre-configure, and stuff on an external hard drive. So what you're paying here is not necessarily the controller, which, by the way, has micro USB. Not really a fan of this myself, but it's not the end of the world. However, when you buy this bundle, this becomes a permanent value asset, meaning you can use the portable Batocera hard drive with a lot of other things in the house. And the mini PC itself, and this is the use case where I'm most excited, can be a cloud streaming PC. So this double use case thing is what makes me tingly on the inside, because it's awesome to have the flexibility to use these products on such a wide range of use cases. If you're smart, which I assume you are because you're watching this channel, but if you're smart and you have free time, then you can save some money. If you don't have free time and you don't want to experiment, you don't want to do trial and error, then I think this is a good solution. Alternatively, what I would have liked is for KINHANK, I really still hope I'm pronouncing this right, makes a bundle where you can only buy 2 of these and the controller can be taken out of the package. I think that would be absolutely beautiful. And also, I'm not a fan of the power brick, like I said, and I would sure love to see a USB-C for charging in the next iteration. I think that would be beautiful. So I would say that if you want something for these two use cases, it's a decent deal. Again, probably if you do things manually, because you can make a hard drive like this by yourself, you might be able to save a few bucks, but the hard drive costs money, the mini PC again costs money, so really what you're paying a bit extra for is the excruciating work of setting this up yourself. So anyway, my dear nerds, tell me what you think. This will be my new retro mini cloud PC in the house at 5 watts. Really, I have light bulbs that consume a ton more than that. This setup here on my PC consumes like 30 of these, I think. I'm that kind of guy that wants to play Broken Sword on all my devices and jump from one to another, and I get to live this fantasy. And I think this is beautiful. So anyway, my nerds, this is all from me. Tell me what you think about all of this stuff. There's gonna be a link to it in the video description. You get to buy it directly from AliExpress. There's also a coupon on their product store page there. You can use that. And until next time, my dear nerds, don't forget, as always, Vlad loves you. Bye.